Welcome y'all to the Blackhoof Saloon, a Wild West Exodus podcast. Mosey on up to the bar and get yourself a bottle of firewater or a glass of sarsaparilla and listen to some good old yarns about adventures of law dogs, outlaws, and weird creatures. So set a spell, water your ride or your rider, and get ready to tune up your posses. This is the Blackhoof Saloon.
Howdy, howdy, all you Prairie Dogs out there, and this is Eric with the Blackhoof Saloon. We're back again, and I have my co-host Brian and Tom with me. Say hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
Howdy, everybody.
And it is the new year, 2021, and we're ready to start off a new year. And
feels like the same old year.
We're still working on models. Everybody's working on models but me. I got models in front of me, but I'm not painting.
I'd just like to say, even I'm painting.
Yeah, I can see the top of your head.
That's it.
Brian's working on something else, though. I mean, we just spent the last 30 minutes talking about Star Wars, so before we actually record. So I think that's a little bit of an influence.
So I'm not painting. I am actually just putting together some of the models from the Star Wars.
Now, are these part of Christmas toys?
Part of Christmas, and they were still sitting on top of all my painting gear.
Okay.
I got a new wet palette thanks to Atomic Hobby Games in Houston. But I have all these models in various stages of build on top of my old wet palette.
See,
so I have to get all of that cleared out of here to get my wet palette, my new one.
See, with the new year, that's one of my resolutions, is to kind of get through some of that pile of half done models. Next to me, to the computer, I have shelves, and I have them just loaded with half painted models from all kinds of games, Right.
So on Facebook, the Dark Council group, someone called out everybody on their pile of shame.
Oh,
and
man.
So at some point I have to get mine out and take a photo of it.
I think that was Will. Was that Will that did that? The piles of shame?
Yeah. And then a few people posted pictures of theirs, and, so as a general, come together, we're all supportive of, whether or not it is shameful or not. I just haven't had a chance to clear off my desk from one pile of shame to be able to add the rest of the pile of shame. So obviously I have maybe 40 to 60 in progress models on my desk. That doesn't count the gob ton of built, unpainted, or the box of unbuilt. So it won't all fit on my table.
Does that include my posse?
Your posse is in progress, literally right behind a bunch of feathers.
Yeah, that wet palette. Do you have one, Tom?
I do. In fact, that's why I was a little late getting on, as I was cleaning out my wet palette.
Oh, okay.
And my sponge in it finally gave out. So I need to get a new sponge for the bottom of my wet palette. So I'm wet palette-less at the moment.
Man. Yeah, I have a fairly recent one. I've used it a couple times. I'm trying to force myself to use it more. I'm just kind of stuck in my ways of the way I paint, in layers and dry brushing and stuff. But
right.
It kind of was a late in the year, I guess you would call it, resolution to try and force myself to use it and try a different method. Because I knew I kind of had an idea what my Christmas gift was from the wife. And I finally broke down and just said, I'm starting from scratch with new paint. And she got me the whole Pro Acryl line. And I got to use it the other night. And it's a different animal, I will say that, but it's very vivid, the colors. So
different how?
It applies very smooth and even. It's very crisp in its colors. I think it's just it has more pigment in there, and I love having the agitator in the bottle. So it's it mixes it up very easy. A couple shakes and you're good to go.
Nice.
So I've only used a couple colors so far on like a white primed model, and I mean anything you prime white, you put a brighter color like green. I used like your classic Kelly type green. Man, that thing popped right off of them. So I'm liking it so far. Like I said, it's a different animal, so I have to learn to, kind of use it a little bit. Get comfortable with it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I mean, it goes along with my resolution of trying to get through some of the half-done models so I can make more room for ones I have to build and then paint. And
so you can have more half-done models.
Yeah, I got to make room for it. I mean, I got those 2 boxes for our posse builds, and I only needed 1 model out of each box, and it's like, well, I'm gonna wanna build the rest of these eventually, but I just don't have any more space right now.
Well, you're going to be getting a lot more stuff too, so.
Yes.
So make some room. So I'm painting this order guy right now, and I got to tell you, he's a mess.
He's a mess. What are you dipping?
I'm getting to that point.
Oh
I'm
man, no.
Like, you know what? I think I might just dip him.
I thought you were over that dip method.
All right. So did you come up with a theme of paint scheme before you started?
Gray and white.
Now you did tell us you goofed up a little bit. What'd you do with his face?
Oh, I forgot that they're supposed to have metal faces because so I gave him like a people face.
Metal, porcelain.
I gave him a people face.
He had a little bit of color on him.
I think what Angel did a couple of the Kokoroli options, and he did a bunch of the porcelain armor.
Okay. Well, I'm no Angel.
Well, we knew that.
I'm ham-fisted and
oh man,
going blind. And
well, you got this going for you. You don't have the paint roller, so you're good. You're okay.
Yet.
It's fine. Yet. Oh man.
This is where I'm at so far. This is as far as I've gotten. I don't know if he's focusing or.
So you got like his what's that? His tunic kind of thing around his armor.
His tunic and his arm. His armor's just gray. But now I'm getting frustrated, and I'm just gonna friggin' metallic that shit. I was like, I had this thought. I'm like, when I first started painting miniatures back like in 6th grade, yeah, that's how I've been painting miniatures, and I'm still terrible at it. There was no metallics. You just painted, you had a sword. The sword was gray, and that was your metal sword. And, I was like, I'm going to try that again. Then I'm like, this looks like shit. I'm just going to, where's my bolt gun metal?
Oh man. You're probably, if Daz is listening to this, you're probably making him sad.
Daz, I'm going to be getting a post just from Daz. He's going to be like, I'm making this post for Tom because he makes me so sad. But I know that he's not listening because when I talked to Daz about it, he said, yeah, I don't really listen to podcasts. So he's happy to come on and guest star or whatever, but he doesn't actually listen to them. So someone else from Warcradle might fill him in and be like, yo, Tom needs help.
Oh, man.
But that's the best chance there.
Well, you just keep hammering away at it. You'll get it.
Well, it'll get thicker and thicker, and then at some point,
I'll
just be like, yeah, there's 3 colors on it. It's table ready.
I mean, I think painting. I've been trying to help some local guys that are trying to get some other board game stuff painted. And I mean, it's a board game miniature, so it's not, super detailed. And he's trying to spend so much time on it. And I'm telling him to just dive into it. Don't spend too much time thinking about it, because a lot of this comes with practice. You start learning techniques to, apply to the model. So that's a big part of it. Just practice. You just paint, and paint.
You could just tell him, be like Tom. Just slop paint on there.
The three colors. Just
Three
make it 3 colors. You're good.
Base wash, dry brush, done.
And then as you learn more stuff, go back and fix.
Yep.
What do you mean fix? It's fine.
No,
Fix.
Tom, it's not.
I think that's why many of us have multiple models, so you can repaint them, because you're just like, yeah, it doesn't look so good. I'm going to repaint them.
I have to say, I'm actually struggling with this core Corolla more than I had with most other miniatures I've ever painted, and I don't know why.
It's probably because you don't have an idea in your head what you want it to look like at the end.
I think ultimately I just want it painted and I don't care.
That's why you're having problems with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm invested in it like I was with my lawman.
Right. But
Well, I think you just go off of what the colored art is on the box. Just kind of go close to that.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what I figure. I'm gonna make the cloth parts cloth white color, and the metal parts gonna be metal color, and and then they'll throw some other splashes of color in there. And
I mean, because they are basically silver suits of armor, right?
yeah, they're silver suits of armor and a white little robe, and
It'd be like painting some old Warhammer, knights or something. You just
okay,
everything's
so what I would
silver.
do, Tom, is instead of doing the face metallic, do it porcelain white. So don't go white, go like bone white with white highlights on the edges. And you can make the wash give you all your details. And then do the cloth in, like you said, white. But I would also probably not go stark white. I would go with a more of a warm white.
That's where I'm at so far, and I'm
like a
building it up.
parchment white.
That's that warmish white. It's like
Right.
So, but do the porcelain face. But if you look, there's like a line around her face. Do that in like gold.
Oh, this is a her?
Yeah, that's the girl.
Oh, okay.
The hoods are girls.
Why are you flipping me off? You saw that, Eric, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
What?
Yeah, he's holding his brush weird, and he just chose to use that finger for a pointer. It got your attention, though, didn't it?
Right.
I'm like, damn. First, he's like, "You're wrong." I'm like, "No, these are done," and he's like, "No, they're not. Be better." It's like me talking to my kids. Be better.
That's right.
Man. Brutal. That's some brutal support there.
I think they call that tough love.
That is. That's tough love.
Oh, you hear that? I got agitator balls in here now.
See, that's what these sound like. Oh, let me grab one.
Yeah, I think it's time. I think I have to start replacing my old army painter paints that I've had for like 7 years.
Yeah.
They're really starting to get gummy.
I'm gonna go through mine probably this weekend. I have a big pile of old paints that I have this little like Lazy Susan thingamabobber I've been using for 20 years. I had it all jacked up with all my old paints, and I'm just like, okay, I took them all off, and I got them in a pile downstairs. I gotta start going through, open them up to see how dried out they are, and
So
yeah.
are those the new paints we're looking at then?
Yeah, those are all the new paints.
Very nice.
And what I like about these paints is that it's a 22 milliliter bottle. And they kind of got the little Elmer's glue top, the little screw top.
Right.
So I don't have to worry about them getting too dried out. And the agitator comes in there already. And well, since we've rambled on about painting, why don't we go into what we're going to talk about today? We have another Smoke-Wagon Showdown for everybody, and we kind of wanted to touch on one of the new bosses coming out. Well, he's not too new, but he's finally getting his posse, and we're going to talk about Caym and another certain individual that he has conflict in. So,
do we have an official pronunciation on his name? I always called him Caym.
Caym? I don't know.
C-
I always
C-
call it
it's
Caym.
Cay with an M on the end. So
From when he was first created, that's how the creator of the character pronounced it.
interesting.
Okay.
That's a strange spelling for that pronunciation. That's all I'm saying.
We're going to explore him a little bit coming up here. So why don't we go ahead and jump into the Smoke-Wagon Showdown?
Let's do it.
Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Listen, mister, I'm getting awful tired of your...
I'm getting tired of your gas. Now jerk that pistol and go to work.
All right, guys, today in our Smoke-Wagon Showdown, we're going to look at two guys from the same faction. So we're going to look at the Enlightened, and we're going to look at Caym, or Caym, as Tom likes to say, who's coming out in a new posse soon. That's the Murder of Hellion posse. And his rival for today is going to be Dr. C. And the reason we're looking at two from the same faction, they have a linked history, linked story fluff. So, Brian, kind of what's the deal with these two guys? Why are they button heads? They're the same faction, right? They should be getting along.
Dr. Carpathian is Caym's uncle. So Dr. Carpathian's wife, that basically is behind his urge to search out reanimating the dead, was because his wife died when he came to the U.S. So Vlad Ursel is his brother-in-law. Mm-hmm. So he worked with Carpathian. Well, his son basically was following in Carpathian's footsteps by researching along with all the other scientists in the Commonwealth, in the what they call the Covenant of the Enlightened. So he was raised in the early birth of this, science.
Yes.
Growth, right? So he was a very smart kid, and he wanted to learn as much as he can from his uncle. Well, things don't always go the best way when you're trying to chase your hero. So his desire to advance his knowledge in this field, to be able to then get notice from his uncle, drove Caym into some pretty dark, obsessive things, right? So one of the things was his desire to advance the flying, right? So his work took him in towards that human machine integrations, and then obviously he started really focusing on having the zombies fly. So his obsession was kind of, there was a demon, I guess. Like, here's one that says, his psychology truly took hold at the age of 19. What began as inspiration in the form of a demon named Caym, an amalgam of man and bird, soon turned into an obsession of his own to mirror that of his uncle's. Upon discovering Caym in his studies, Roman began to work towards creating a way for man to fly with wings of his own. This focus was on a harness that allowed him to fly. While this gave some amount of gliding ability, it was not the same as true flight. The desire to soar among the clouds was a strong lure, and Roman wanted to find a way of attaching mechanical wings to a human frame while still keeping the original personality of those subjects. This last part was extremely difficult to achieve, as most creation menials and other experiments made by the Enlightened, especially Carpathian's own work, retained very little of the person they once were.
Mm-hmm.
Roman attacked this problem without respite, and the alter ego of Caym began to assert greater dominance. This process was completed just before he left London to follow Carpathian and his father to the Americas. In the process of trying to stop a serial killer's murderous spree in the streets of Whitechapel, he began to see that only the strongest mind is capable of such deprivation. In order to truly free his potential, he must follow that path. Thus, in an East London back street, Caym was born and Roman Ursel was left behind. So some of this is detailed in the old fluff book called Family Blood.
Yeah.
And, Warcradle is basically any of those books that before may have happened in that way, but it's slightly a fiction of what may have actually happened in this world.
You kind of think of it as those are the dime novels, the penny dreadfuls in the world. So they're kind of fact, but they're exaggerated fact.
Well, there may be
based in truth.
Yeah.
Right. Once in the New World, he meets his uncle and reunited with his father. He was basically forced to take more and more risks to try to achieve more and more breakthroughs. So he started gobbling up all the different people he met. Like he took some methods from Kyle. He created, which allowed him to create the Hellion. So this would be like the basic Hellions that we don't even have models for yet, for the hands version of the Hellion. And so he started creating these and he got some notice. Mind you, a lot of his goal is to try to get his uncle to notice his take on these technologies. But because of the lack of humanness of the Hellions that he first created, he kept pushing on. Then a young warrior nation woman come to find him, and White Wing was destined to be a Payasa spirit walker and join Alcon and his daughters, but she kept getting rejected by the Great Spirit. So Alcon basically said, "Hey, you got a shadow inside your spirit, which is why the Great Spirit's not allowing you to change." So she left the tribe. Caym found her and promised her to gain flight. So he built her in the Hellion system in the hopes to be able to keep her personality.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at her new model, she's in the box. She looks very much like one of those spirit daughters, but she's obviously been cyborg. So when he succeeded in building this trusted lieutenant, because it worked, he got full integration, but she retained a lot of her personality. He basically clashed with Dr. Carpathian, right?
Okay.
He wasn't getting at what he wanted, so he, rebelled against his uncle. This in the fluff on the website, when you go look at the box, it skips why he kills his uncle, but in the Family Blood novel, you get the why.
Okay.
Whether or not that's the true, like the new fluff's reason or not, We don't know. Stuart teased saying that the Family Blood book is being retooled, so like worked for the new era of Wild West Exodus. So we will eventually get that story and
Like a
figure out
second edition of the story itself.
Right. So, so we may see that, but
do we know if there's
obviously this huge clash inside the Covenant of the Enlightened North America branch when Caym basically kills Carpathian. Kyle the Black and Augusta bring him back.
So yeah, there's the tie-in for
the legendary version.
Yeah, this big dude
is post-death Carpathian. So Caym is on the run from the Enlightened because of this. Well, Vlad goes with him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why Vlad is also in the box. Both Caym and Vlad are new sculpts. There's also 2 Hellions in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Apex Hellions. So they're the more advanced version of the Hellions. And those 2 are also new sculpts. But one of them is based on the original Hellion sculpt. So it's very similar to that, but there are some changes to it. So it is technically a new sculpt. The other model in the box is White Wing. So those of you who already have Caym, and you already have Vlad, and you already have a Hellion, rest assured, this box is still worth something.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things. Caym, his wings are bigger.
The rock's different too.
The rock is extremely different. It also has a battle foam bag on it.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot
which
they
is
did
a
that.
nod to who the designed character was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And if you look at the face technically does actually look more like Romeo.
Mm-hmm.
And the foam bag in the base is again that's new, and so it was done. I think as well as to nod towards the original, creator of the character. So it's actually kind of neat. But Vlad is a new sculpt. It's got a lot of neat little new details on it. So it's worth getting, even if you have the old ones. The original Caym sculpt is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that original sculpt. It was an amazing sculpt.
Yeah.
The new one looks to be just as amazing.
Yep.
So of all the boxes that I've got those models, this one I'm the less worried about because it is going to be a great box.
All right. Should we how should we start breaking down this smoke wagon? Do you want to look at Caym first, or should we look at a theme posse card, or because Cam's a little bit different when it comes to the posse cards, because you can take him as an outlaw also.
Right.
It's just if you wanted to do that, you have to look under the outlaws to look at the posse card. He takes the general posse card, I think, for the outlaws. Because if you do a theme, it's basically his theme posse card that would be in Enlightened.
Well, okay, so his Murder of Hellion theme posse can join Outlaw, Enlightened, or Hex forces.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So if you did the theme,
So,
it would just be in there. Here, I pulled it up. I'll let me share it so you guys can see it too. Because we're recording this for audio, but just in case we want to do video, so you guys can watch it on YouTube too.
You can all look at the top of my head.
But yeah, okay. So yeah, Outlaws, Enlightened, Hex. What else? What does he get for a bonus?
the units in the posse with Scion of Caym trait do not have the task rule. Caym is the only unit with this boss trait permitted in the posse.
That's right, because all the Hellions are tasked. I don't recall if Vlad and all the other ones faces. But that's pretty good. That's especially for a construct and to get that. But he's pretty straightforward posse build. I mean, you got to take Vlad or a Hellion unit in slot 1. Slot 2 is a Hellion unit and or an Apex Hellion unit.
Right. So just as a heads up, the task rule that doesn't really apply to. It's obviously not going to apply to Vlad.
Mm-hmm.
It also does not apply to the Apex Hellion, right? So the Apex Hellions are more advanced, so they aren't tasks.
It would be just like your hands, right? The hands
Right.
that
So
he would take.
The hand Hellion units, which don't currently exist in the wild, are the ones that's for, basically. So that boon doesn't even apply currently to what you'd be able to play once the box gets to your house, right? So
Yeah.
Because White Wing isn't subject to being tasked either, because she's going to be more human.
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't have it. So really, all you're talking about is any of the other enlightened hands that you bring.
Yeah.
That have Scion of Caym, which basically just means that the Hellion hands unit, which we do have a card for it, so we know what those stats are going to be.
Yeah.
We just don't have the models yet, so it'll be. We don't know. We even have it on the timeline of when that would come out.
Yeah. Hopefully soon, since he's getting the box set coming out.
Right.
Let's see what else is. So that was 1 and 2. 3 is a Scion of Caym unit. 4 is a Hellion unit and or Apex Hellion unit. 5 an Enlightened Hands unit and or Scion of Caym unit. So that's where he can start to bring in those other hands in the Enlightened.
Right.
And then 6 is up to 2 Scion of Caym units. So basically you're looking at that keyword, the Scion of Caym.
Right.
Or Hellions. A lot of Hellions. I mean, that's...
Well, I mean, that's what the Scion of Cams are going to be.
Yeah. Death from above. All right.
Which will be interesting to see this against the Death from Above posse.
Yeah. Who's going to win?
Well, we know who's going to win.
All right, so let's go ahead and start breaking down Caym. I will go ahead. Oh, I think I'm already sharing, ain't I? No, I'm not. Okay, so Caym can go, as we said before, he can go in Outlaws or Enlightened. Boss, Outlaws, Enlightened Human, Male, Scion of Caym, Mercenary, Flight, and Tainted. So the Tainted kind of goes into like the little bit of fluff you were talking about, Brian, where he kind of gets, corrupted by that demon. So I'd like that tie into why he's tainted. Let's see. So,
or why he goes by this new name Caym instead of his given name Roman Ursel. So some things to consider. So he's got Outlaws and Enlightened as traits. So that means he can be an outlaw boss with the outlaw faction posse.
Which is basically what we did when we built my posse, when we did our little posse builds together.
Exactly.
Because I like the choices that the Outlaws give him.
Right.
And at that time,
not having access to the Hellion hands, you're very limited on what you could do with his theme.
Yeah.
So having Outlaws as another option he doesn't have to be tied to a full Enlightened posse. He can, he's got 3 different options. You can use him. You can bring an outlaw with mercenaries from, a huge
selection. Yeah, that's
selection of the outlaws.
I mean, that's
or he has his theme gives him the ability to be an outlaw force, Enlightened force, or a hex force.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's one of his big strengths is that he has that variability of how do you want to build with him. So, but let's look at his stats. He has, so those were his keywords I just went over. He has a fortune of 3. He cost 180 points and is unique, of course. Okay, he has a quickness of 5, mind of 7, aim of 6, grit of 6, fight of 6, and a limit of 3. So then let's take a look at his weapons. So he's got smoke grenades. That's one of his ranged weapons that have smoke screen, indirect, and blast with a range of 8 inches. No piercing on them, but it's a rate of attack 1. And then he has a melee hammer hands, stun and brutal, and then a displace on a crit with a range of base to base, piercing a -1, and a rate of attack 2. He's got 2. So he's double fisting you.
Ew.
As soon as I said it, I was like, man, I knew I shouldn't have said that. And then he's got another ranged weapon. It's his Masterwork Cyclo Blasters, which I like this. He can revolver fan them. Close work and brutal with a shred on a crit, 9-inch range, piercing a -1, and a rate of attack 3. So
right. So revolver fan with these are very, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you've heard the discussions here and there in the community. Crit shred is one of the weaker crit that you can have on a weapon, but those are pretty good pistols.
Yeah. Naturally,
for a boss, those are pretty good weapons.
Yeah, it's natural brutal, and the fact that it's got close work too. So
yeah,
he doesn't have to worry about if somebody swarms him type of thing, or with one of his special rules, it comes into play pretty nice with that. So,
well, if you consider revolver fan or close work, takes his aim down, so you just focus that close work, and dude, you can just be mean to somebody up close.
Oh yeah. So we'll go ahead and let's jump over to his common rules. Can you see that, Tom? You always do his common rules.
His common rules. He's common. He's metal, the quick and the dead, largesse, and target priority. Pretty standard there.
Yeah, standard for a boss.
Yep.
He can share his fortune and.
Yeah, he's got a small list of common rules, but more than makes up it when we get to his specials.
Yes. So his first one is pretty much a large part of the Enlightened Carpathian, where he can spend a fortune chip, and once per turn, when a construct, face, hands, or support within 6 inches of him is destroyed, before taint checks are made, D5 of the models from the destroyed unit are returned to the play area within 3 inches of them. And also it says if any model cannot be placed, is removed from play. That would be kind of like if it's just too tight, you can't get them, anywhere close to those 3 inches. And then the new unit counts as activating for the turn and gains the reanimated rule, which basically is just a reminder that if they go down, you can't reanimate them again. And let's see, you cannot use this against units that are removed from play due to yeller checks. So that's something to remember too. So once they're the guys that flee from the yeller check, you can't bring them back too. So
Right, because they didn't die. They ran
nope,
away.
they took off with the yellow stripe down their back.
Yep, as those Enlightened tend to do.
Oh man.
What?
All right. His next special rule is death from above. So Caym may end a flight action engaged in combat. If it does so, it may make an immediate fight action for 1 action point, regardless of the number of combat actions this unit has already taken this activation. So this is already tying into that close work. And like you said, Brian, being mean and just, flying down and dropping on somebody and just unloading. And then he also has split shot, so he can target different units with each die from their weapon's rate of attack in a shoot action, rather than having to resolve them against a single target. He does not need to spend an action point to use the revolver fan. And then that's pretty big. He has elusive, backstab reactions. Go ahead, Brian.
Basically, once per turn, he gets to revolver fan for free.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's crazy good.
Oh yeah.
And so that's 6 shots, but they don't all have to hit the same target.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those, and you get to add one from brutal.
Mm-hmm.
So, those potential of 2 to 7 hits.
Yeah.
To spread around. It's just good.
Then he has his next special rule is elusive. Backstab reactions against him suffer a -4 penalty. This is one of the reasons I kind of wanted to take him in the posse, because I like this special ability. Split personality. So when he's activated, he must discard their action card and draw a new one from the deck. The new card is applied immediately. This is one of those abilities that ever since we started playing 2nd edition that I liked, because it helped mitigate that action deck. I kind of would hold them off a little bit. And then on that one activation where you flip that one, you can choose to, activate him, and then you're automatically flipping a new card.
Right.
Use that with Creation 7 a lot. I love that. It thematically, it ties into him being a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So
right. His alter ego of
yeah.
the demon, it kind of fits. He's just a little unhinged.
Did you like that one, Tom? Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I like that.
It's a little throwback.
I was a big fan of Sonny, so.
All right, so he's got 2 more here. He's got Frenzy. So for each critical success this model rolls during a fight check, he may make a free strike action. This free strike action is still subject to Frenzy. So that can just, adding that on, he gets nasty. And then being a flying model, he gets flight or fight reaction. So when he's nominated as a target of a charge action, he may spend a point of fortune to immediately be placed D5 from the current location. Placement must be a point directly away from the charging unit, and placement cannot be in impassable terrain or cause the unit to be engaged. So we've talked about that a couple times with the Warrior Nation flying gals, and the big birds have it. And so basically it's anything that can fly, I think, gets this. I think even does Helena Miller have this one, Brian?
So I think it comes down to what they consider true flight versus like jump packs and stuff like that.
Okay.
I think can't remember off the top of my head whether or not both Helena and Hart have it. I think they do.
It's been a little while since we've talked about them. I'd have to go back and check, but
yeah.
But that's Caym. It seemed like every one of those special rules just really reinforces like his weapons. They add to how nasty they can be. And I mean his general stats are, you know, they're a little above average. I mean, like you mentioned, you know, the revolver fan, yeah, it does make him go down, but you know, you boost it back up with focus in it, and he's all good.
Well, no, the revolver fan doesn't affect your aim.
Close work does, right?
Close work is
Close work. Okay. Okay.
The revolver fan does. It's just not as bad. Like close work is like, I think, -3 or -4.
Let me see. I got stat cards. I'll look real quick. Let's see.
Oh,
Close work.
I want to say it was -4. -3 sounds weird.
What's that?
-3 sounds weird. I want to say it was -4.
Yeah.
Close work is -3.
-3. Wow. I'm wrong. Nothing new there.
And then what was revolver fan then? That would be that's -2.
Right. So when you focus, they cancel each other out.
Yeah. I should know this as much as I've used Jesse James.
And both Hart and Helena have the true flight versus like Mercury with her jump boots.
Okay. All right. So there was Caym. Let me go ahead and what do you guys think of Caym overall before I pull up Dr. C?
I really don't want to fight him.
They've made some improvements over him during second edition, because I remember using him early on and he was just kind of meh, you know.
Well, his blasters have always been really good.
Mm-hmm.
They did change from his original under first edition, but he's always been a good option for an Enlightened group because he has flight, right?
Oh yeah.
His pistols have always been really deadly. That hasn't really changed. They kept them, you know, in the please don't shoot me.
Yeah, I mean the flight was a big reason why I wanted to take them to go along with Eiffel. You know, like you get that fast movement. You know, I can get across the board quick to either, you know, get engaged with somebody or close to somebody to, you know, be a nuisance or, you know, get those objectives. So, all right. So we got Dr. C. Let me share him so Tommy can see him.
I mean, I could always go open up a window myself. But...
No, you're painting. You paint. You paint.
This doesn't happen very often.
That's right. You keep at it, bro.
All right, so we got Dr. C. So he's kind of like a what do I want to say? A poster boy for Enlightened. This was one of the first factions I got into. And he's a boss, Enlightened, human, male, and tainted. So he's also tainted. He has a whole whopping 4 fortune. He's 165 points, unique. He has a quick of 5, a mind of 8, aim of 6, grit of 6, fight of 6, limit of 3. Very, very similar to what Caym's got. And then his weapons. So he's got 1 bionic arm for a melee with a brutal on the crit. Range is base to base with a piercing of -1 and a rate of attack 1. He's got his first ranged weapon is the ionic pistol, which has close work and disrupt on a crit. Range is 10, piercing -2, and a rate of attack of 1. And then he's got his tried and true ranged weapon, the atomic blunderbuss. That's hazardous, torrent, and brutal on a crit. The range of that is nil because it's a template weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's got a piercing of -3 and of a rate of attack of 1. So those are his weapons. Love the blunderbuss. Get everybody under that template and just light them up.
I like the change from that. If you remember in first edition, that was the big pie plate that you would drop on someone, and that never made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
He in first edition he didn't have a torrent.
No.
Right. No. He had the big pie plate blast.
He
the 5-inch
was 20-inch
blast.
range. He was a 20-inch range.
He was 20-inch range. So I played.
It was a long range blast that was extremely deadly.
I want to say, I think it was Clay that I played in the first tournament ever, and he had this. And I put all my guys behind a building, and I'm like, ha ha ha, I'm behind a building.
Who were you playing?
Clay, down by you in Houston.
What faction?
Oh, I was lawman. When there was like 3 lawmen.
And you get bonuses for them all standing next to each other.
Exactly. So I had them all standing next to each other, but they were behind a building. I was like, I'm good. And he was able to see just a little bit of something. He dropped this pie plate like on the building and caught everybody underneath it. Like first turn, and everyone got irradiated. And oh my God, it was so bad. And of course he's on the other side of the board as well, because it was 20 inches and a 5-inch pie plate, and it was nasty. So I'm glad to see that this is a torrent now. Makes much more sense.
It's still extremely deadly. It's not like it was a big Nerf stick, but in the more brutal second edition, this is still deadly.
You got to be a little more mindful of your position to use this weapon, so you can try to catch as many as you can underneath that torrent template.
And you have the trade-off of you kind of have to put yourself to the hazard a little bit to get close enough to use it.
Yeah.
The old version, that was so frustrating because he was so far away. and so this, I think, is much more balanced. It's not just like, hey, I'm just going to make you have a really unfun day. There's some risk reward here.
Giving an opponent an unfun day. I mean,
I think that's called negative play experience, and it's it's something that's to be avoided. I think that the balance here is nice because you still have a really, really deadly weapon, but you have to risk yourself a little bit to use it.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Tom, hit those common rules.
Common rules: metal, the quick and the dead, largesse, target priority, and I'll let you have this one, Eric.
You want me to say it? Prodigious.
Prodigious. Nice.
I kind of stumbled a little bit there, I think.
So basically the same as Caym, except with the addition of prodigious.
Yeah, and that's another one of those abilities that anybody that has it, I love. I'll be spending fortune to focus or action points, all day long to get that big boost.
Yep. And for those who don't remember, that is where you get 3 for your focus instead of 2, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't think just that one extra one would be, breaking or anything, but it's when you have a lot of things that cause negatives, having that one extra really helps out a lot.
Well, and the thing to remember there, one extra is not one extra. One extra is 10%.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when you think of it that way, when 10%, an extra 10% on, you know, when you're rolling on a D10, that's significant.
And especially when you look at all his weapons at their rate of attacks, he's rolling one die.
Yep,
So that will really, really help with that.
absolutely.
All right, so special rules for Carpathian here. He's got Dark Council, so he can deploy a single hexalith during deployment for each unit in his force with that rule. For 1 action point, he may select a tainted unit, friend or foe, within 8 inches, and that targeted unit must make a mind check. If the check is passed, they're okay, nothing happens. If the check fails, the model in that unit or entire unit, if friendly, is compelled. You like this one, Tom, right? I compel you.
The power of Carpathian compels you.
And must immediately make an action of this unit's choice. It's a free action which cannot be focused or use fortune. And for the duration of the action, the compelled model counts as a friendly to this unit. You cannot compel models with automata, structure, or legendary traits.
Do you notice that we all have to say automata in a very,
Automata.
a very strange way? And
It's almost like a must. I have to say it goofy anymore.
I do too. So I'm right there with you.
And then he also has Carpathian, the ability to spend a fortune chip and raise some constructs, face, hands, or support near him. Caym has it. Most of the bosses and I think some of the faces in the Enlightened have this, so we talked about that. And then he has one more special rule. He has one of Brian's favorites. What is that, Brian? What's your favorite?
Shrewd strategist.
That's right. So once per turn on his activation, he may spend an action point to look at the top card from either their adventure or action deck, and then he can discard the card or return it to the top of the deck. So he gets a little sneak peek. So he actually has only 3 special rules, a lot less than what Caym has. 1, 2, 3. Yep, Caym has 2 more.
So Caym is special.
Yeah, well, yeah, he is a little special. We already know that with his loose nuts and bolts rattling around in his head.
Indeed.
Well, I think both these guys have their mental issues.
How dare you?
Are you saying scientists all have kind of like those issues?
No, but especially these two gentlemen.
This family, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, his wife died, he goes completely nuts and decides to invent zombies to try to bring it back, you know? I'm like, so.
Okay,
What's funny is Caym almost perfects keeping people from losing their capacity, but whether or not that would translate to reanimate a dead corpse who's been dead for years or not to help Carpathian bring his wife back. I mean, you know, I mean that maybe that's part of the drama.
Yeah, they could make it a WB show, right?
Right.
Nice idea. I'm in.
Is that part of what drives them apart? Is it that conflict? You know, that would be an interesting take on what caused these two to have such a break that Caym would just murderate him, you know?
Yeah.
Is it going to be because Cam's technology, maybe Doc Carpathian used it to try to animate his wife, and it didn't work? So he lashed out at Caym, and Caym basically kills him for that.
And Caym said, "My gun's better."
Right. But interesting fluff discussion. But okay, so so what about Carpathian's theme posse?
Okay, so let's take a look at that. Let me click on some stuff. Click. And then do this. So he has Father of the Enlightened theme posse. So his special abilities for that is brute units in the posse do not have to have the task rule. Sounds familiar. And then he is, of course, the only boss permitted in the posse, and you may not include the legendary Dr. C in this posse. So, yeah, similar to Caym's. Brutes are kind of his go-to, and they're not tasked. And interesting enough, first slot, he has somebody that's very familiar. He's got Vlad or Harmony Ratchet. So that could be an interesting fight, the two of these. Who does Vlad side with?
Right? Or are you going to have them both head to head?
Yeah.
Or is there a Vlad clone?
Will the real Vlad stand up? Please stand
Yeah,
up.
one of them's a watcher.
Nice.
And then, so Dr. C's second slot in his theme posse is a unit of brutes and or enlightened hands unit. Number 3 is an enlightened face unit and or non-vehicle enlightened support unit. 4 is a unit of brutes and or enlightened hands. 5 up to 2 enlightened face units. And 6 is up to 2 enlightened hands or enlightened support units. So he's able to take a lot of those undead, whether they're hands or support, or specifically they name a couple times brutes, which with the special ability that this theme posse gets, you may want to load up on the brutes and then decide.
Right, and his box comes with brutes.
Yeah, two brutes that you can either do as a standard flamethrower or the upgraded it's a Gatling gun, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the difference I see in these, well, they both get the task rule if you fill it out type thing, but it's like Caym has all the high flyers, the flyers that are going to drop down on you and tear into you, whereas Dr. C, it's all the ground and pound. He's got the slow moving guys, but
right, and with the brutes with Gatlins, he's going to have the range.
Yeah. So that's his posse. Overall, what do you guys think of these guys one-on-one? Or should we look at another form of Dr. C because of what Caym did?
I think we should, because more than likely your clashes will occur after the blood feud started.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I think we may want to also take a look at Robo Carpathian.
Okay. Which I love this model. This was one of those early models that I just had to have.
Yep. I was just going to say, this is one of the cooler models out there, right?
Yeah, I had to buy it too. And I really haven't. I have a bunch of Enlightened stuff, but I really haven't done a whole lot of painting with them. But that model was so good, I bought it and started it.
Mm-hmm.
It's among my work in progress.
So what we're looking at is the legendary Dr. C, who is a boss, enlightened construct male, tainted still. He has 3 fortune, but he goes for a whopping 200 points. He's unique. He has, so his stats, quick of 6, mind of 7. He's got an aim of 5. His grit is 8, which is crazy. Fight is 7. And his limit is 4.
Even crazier.
Yep. And then his weapon. So He does lose one of his ranged weapons, but picks up a melee weapon. So he has Hammer Hands, which is stun, brutal, displace on a crit. Range is base to base, -1 piercing. Rate of attack is 2. And then his other melee weapon is the Servo Claw, which is brutal and special and lethal on a crit. Range of 1 inch, so he can reach out a little bit and grab you. Piercing a -2 with a rate of attack 1. And then his ranged weapon he has is the atomic minigun.
Nasty.
This is nasty. So here's the standard specials that this gun has. Lethal, it's special, brutal, and heavy with a blast on a crit. Range of 15 inches, piercing a -3 with a rate of attack -3.
This is the old pie plate that we were just
It
talking
only
about.
pie plates on a crit, but it with heavy, he can't use it and move in the same turn.
True.
And special means he can only use it once a turn.
Yeah.
His Servo Claw also is special.
Yeah.
So you can only use that once a turn. So he has some limitations with some of it.
Sorta.
Sorta.
We know there's gonna be some special rules in here.
Yep. I know. We'll get there.
All right, Tom, go through those common rules. His are very different from his standard one.
His common rules are tough, largesse, and unstoppable.
So he does still have largesse, but yeah, the tough and unstoppable. Those are a big tail to what he is. Basically, he's a tank. You know, he's gonna
refresh us on unstoppable.
You know what? I gotta go to my cards, man. Let's see. Unstoppable is... So this model may make a ram action, even though it does not have the vehicle trait. Furthermore, he ignores the heavy quality for any weapons he carries. So his atomic minigun just got a little more sexy.
Yep, he can move and fire it. But wait, there's more. We'll get there.
That's right.
Act now.
And then as a reminder for what tough is, so this unit does not count as being wounded by a failed grit check and instead receives the stun condition. Even if not normally able to be stunned, or the hit would cause them to become stunned anyway. If the unit is already stunned, it is wounded as normal then. So, yeah, some survivability. Or basically, it's like he's just like, yeah, whatever. He just keeps lumbering on. All right, so his special rules. Once again, he can bring some zombies back if they're fallen, and D5 of them, 3 inches around him, as long as he's like 6 inches close to them. So next one's creation. So this unit may spend an additional action point to double the piercing value of a single strike action. Furthermore, unless hit by a weapon with a piercing of -4 or greater, he may ignore the first point of piercing from an attack. And there's actually a nice little example on his stat card. So a weapon with a piercing of -3 is considered -2, basically, against him. And then the next special rule is braced. So during his activation, he may spend an action point and remain stationary to ignore the special quality on one of his ranged weapons for the remainder of the activation. What just got even nicer? And then he's got my favorite, split personality, to redraw a activate action card. He has frenzy. So for each critical success this model rolls during a fight check, this model may make a free strike action. Free strike action is still subject to frenzy. And then he has bull rush. He can focus charge actions for no additional cost. Free strike actions do not benefit from the rule. So, yeah, Caym, you turned him into a monster.
Well, technically, Kyle the Black and Augusta.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. You might get technical, but I just think of Hulk smash. I mean,
when I see this, all I could think of is to Caym is Caym. Actions have consequences.
can't we just? You guys could have talked it out or hugged it out or something. Dang.
So, how we want to go about this comparison? So, I see basically a little flow chart where it says, Caym is greater than Carpathian, and Legendary Carpathian is greater than Caym. Is kind of my thoughts here. What do you guys think?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's fair. To say, I just with the amount of abilities that Caym has next to regular Dr. C, I think he has the leg up on variability of what he can do, and he can go this way, that way. Basic Dr. C is he's kind of straightforward. Yeah, he's just as nasty, but he's very straightforward. But if you're talking about once he turns into Mega C,
I mean, basically he hulks out.
Yeah, he hulks out, and he's just this unstoppable force. That's just.
Well, do we want to look at his theme?
Yeah, let's look at his theme real quick.
Oh, he needs a theme.
He has his own theme. Yeah.
I thought his theme was he walks out on the field and kills you.
Yeah, but he can bring toys with him.
Oh, he can bring some toys. Yeah.
So what I find interesting about him is even as a monster that's been brought back, he still has a mind of 7, which means he's still really smart.
Right.
I like that. He didn't become.
He's a little insane.
Well, that's okay.
Right.
Aren't we all?
Well, he's a little bent from having his nephew murderate him. And
so
he's probably a little annoyed with Kyle and Augusta for bringing back full monster when they could have just did something where he can just be himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so why did y'all have to go big? You could have just left him a little normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a little cranky now.
All right, so his theme posse is called the Technological Terror Theme Posse. I love that. Technological Terror.
That's what he is.
So this is Legendary Dr. C's theme posse, and its little special thing is if all the slots are filled with one or more units in the posse, then all the hands and face units in the posse gain +1 grit. He's the only boss that's allowed in this. I like that, +1 grit. So his first slot is Harmony Ratchet or an Enlightened Hands unit. Number 2 is some Brutes, a unit of Brutes, and or an Enlightened Hands unit. 3 is an Enlightened Face unit and or Enlightened unit with the Creation rule. Slot 4 is a unit of Brutes and or an Enlightened Hands unit. 5 up to 2 Enlightened Face units, and 6 is up to 2 Enlightened Hands or Enlightened Support units. So not as many Brutes coming in this one. Well, he's got 2 slots. Kind of same amount, but a lot more choices in this theme posse of what you can bring with him. A lot of hands or support, so you could really fill this out with a lot of just I hate to say it, but disposable dudes to kind of put around him and I guess run as blocker.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't know why you hate to say disposable dudes. I think that's exactly.
Well, I don't like to see them go. I mean, he worked so hard on them.
But that's kind of what he worked hard on them to be.
Yeah, that's basically what they're there for.
So I think he's okay with that, and if he's okay with that, I'm okay with that.
All right, so yeah, like you said, Tom, I think if you compare the two bosses straight up, it's going to be Caym, but then when Dr. C hulks out, thinking Legendary is going to come out on top.
Oh yeah, I don't even think that's a question. Legendary is that's a really scary unit. I don't think there's any other way to put that than.
And then I think if you look at the posses themselves, what they can bring, I think Caym's posse, just having that advantage of flight and some of the other abilities that they have for dropping down and just going right into melee and tearing into somebody.
Yeah, but you fail to remember that's all Caym can bring.
Yeah, that's all he can bring.
Well, what I think is really
Carpathian can bring them too.
The Hellions.
Yeah, Carpathian. There's nothing restricting him from bringing
that's true.
all of those things as well.
He could
so
bring
if he
them
wants
too.
some flyers, he can have them too. So
I think then it's going to come down to luck of the draw and the dice, really.
What I think is interesting is I think that Caym and Carpathian actually are very complementary. You know, like you said, one's death from above, the other is ground and pound, and I think that that's very complementary from a style standpoint.
Yeah, if they could just hug it out, hug it out. You guys can take it all.
Yeah,
right.
And then after looking at Legendary's theme posse, holy cow, the stuff that he can bring with them. I think the only issue I see with that is points. You're gonna burn through points pretty fast with him.
Yep. You might not even be able to fill out that posse. If you're taking really expensive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it does have the ability to take a lot of hands. It looks like slot 5, you got to take a face, at least one face. But every other slot is like you could possibly take the little cheapo hands if you want.
Right. And you should want to. I think of him as a cheapo hands guy.
I mean, a lot of the Enlightened bosses, I think, are really geared towards that kind of that thought of when you build the posse, like you have a lot of not to call them all support models because there's different support models, but you know what I'm saying. So you put units in there that are gonna back them up because they're not intended to be in your face type of models, but after looking at these guys, they're in your face.
Well, I mean, Carpathian only works if you're near your troops.
Yeah.
So, you know, that comes into play. You know, that's why Carpathian having those spots with bases to be able to bring more Carpathian Carpathian bases is very useful, because then as you have all these hand units, you have their leader nearby that can try to save some of them as they start.
Yeah, you kind of widen that bubble of, you know, given his units survivability to hang out a little bit longer.
You're going to want to bring a Tumbletti, or you're going to want to bring a
his sphere of influence increases.
What's that?
He increases sphere of influence by bringing those guys.
Right.
It's funny. I almost think of that as if you just play 40K with Tyranids. you would bring units specifically to expand that bubble of the hive mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of a similar idea.
All right. Well, this was I don't think there was any arguing between the three of us. We all kind of agreed with who's going to win this one. And, you know, if you further look down after the Hulk out, who's going to win that fight then? Because he's all jacked up.
Because he's ridiculous. He might be one of the most powerful bosses in the game, if not the most powerful boss in the game, I think. Like I wouldn't put Legendary Wyatt against him. I wouldn't put Legendary Jesse against him. I think they would all get wrecked by him.
You know, I think I've had games with Legendary Jesse and Carpathian.
How did that go?
I remember duking out on a train. The two big monsters climbed into the train car and destroyed it as they were, duking it out. I think Jesse went down in that though.
I would expect, unless you had some real good luck,
because I mean
that's what I would expect to happen.
The Legendary Jesse he's kind of a beefed up regular version. If I remember right. Yeah, he has, better stats and stuff, but ability wise, it's nothing like how different Legendary Dr. C is.
Yep.
But that is our little Smoke-Wagon Showdown for today. We thought we'd do something a little bit new, pitting two bosses from the same faction, button heads. A little bit of family drama there. And Caym seems to come out on top for a while, but then, somebody gets a little ticked off. And
I think the models and the game pieces kind of clearly reflect the fluff. Caym wins the initial fight, and and then they
Caym.
beef him up.
It's not focusing, and then he puts down. I'm showing some models off for people that will get to see this on YouTube. There's Dr. C, and then Dr. C smash.
I just love that there's the Union soldier hiding behind the rock with his head down.
Yeah,
I'm totally hitting underneath the hiding soldier with some gloss.
Oh, nice.
That's what I was thinking about doing too. Yeah,
absolutely.
And I went to town with the guy that he's holding in his claw that's like ripped in half because he's stepping on his, his legs, and then he just like pulled them apart. That's awesome.
Not for him.
I am going to try and put a poll up for you guys that are listening to this, so you guys can vote on who you think will win in the Smoke-Wagon Showdown. Facebook's getting a little weird lately, so hopefully I can still post some polls for you guys, but go ahead and check that out. And I guess that's going to be it for today's Smoke-Wagon Showdown. You know what? I can go over our last poll real quick, which was our Jetpack Joust, where we talked about Helena Miller and Lilith Hart. And the last time I checked, which is just a couple days ago from us recording, Helena Miller is still in the lead. She's winning it. She has 21 votes, I think it was, to Lilith's 13. And we've mentioned, like when we talked about that Smoke Wagon, Helena just has more shenanigans and options that she can do. And Lilith is just kind of your basic mercenary.
And their posses, I think, reflect that too.
Yeah.
Helena's posse is a little more focused and works together, where Lilith's posse seems like it's kind of meant to be parted out to, different other
other posses, other forces. But all right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and move out of the Smoke-Wagon Showdown and maybe talk about some news. Okay. News. Yeah, I gotta use that jingle. All right, guys, before we get out of here, we wanted to go over some news.
Wow, that was exciting.
No, I still have the sound file, so I'll use that.
News.
And to start off with the things we wanted to go over with, it's January, and we never got the opportunity to talk about Warcradle Studios' advent calendar for 2020. Now, this is something they did back in December leading up to Christmas, where they had, like your typical advent calendar, they had 8 doors that revealed some kind of teaser for their games, including Wild West Exodus, Mythos, Dystopian Wars, and even Firestorm, which is very, very beta, still in development. But let's see. So I guess let's just kind of knock them down. I kind of wrote some notes of what they were. I did a lot of hunting for these because they were all on the different Facebook pages where they revealed it and stuff. And I believe the first one they revealed was the 4th or the 8th. And that was a little sneak peek teaser artwork of the crown for Dystopian Wars, where we had a nice little picture of, some artwork of the fleet sailing in the boat. And did you guys see that one? I mean, a lot of these I didn't see when they were revealed. I saw them like after the fact because people were talking about them and stuff. So then I had to hunt them down, type of thing.
Right. I saw them. I was like, oh, that's neat.
I mean, it was a neat way to kind of, for the holiday season, to get people kind of excited about, teasers for stuff that's down the road. And whether it was your game that you're attracted to or not, it's kind of neat to see them, sending those out, to get the community excited.
I like that. I like to see that, you can see that regardless of whether it's a game you're personally interested in or not, the studio's active. They're doing stuff. It's not, COVID's killed everything. So that was nice.
It was a good way to say, hey, we're still here. This is what you guys got to look forward to, type of thing.
It's just good marketing. I mean, the marketing team obviously has improved over, ever since they got started. And with the spoilers, like last year, where there was always 4 products coming out, and they would teaser, little tiny, small segments of the new model or product.
Oh yeah, that's right. They were
going to be. We chat about it, and
try to figure out, what is it? What is it?
Couldn't wait to find out what the next tease was going to be. I mean, that just good marketing. Yeah. So it was nice to see something come back, right? Because most of this year it was very limited number. So I mean, they didn't really have a way to do those type of spoilers when there's only one product and it's a Mythos product, right?
Yeah.
Right. How are you going to guess that? No, we didn't even know that was coming. So it was not like we saw sketches of it and would have a good guess for that. So it was really kind of neat to see that Warcradle tease come back, and everyone was jazzed about it, like, oh, what's going to be the next one? It's coming today. What's it going to be? What's it going to be? And then you had to, like you said, Eric, you didn't really know which one it was going to be.
Yeah.
So you bounced from, Sturginium Lounge to Dark Council to the Mythos page to the Warcradle page. I mean, literally, it was like round robin. Okay, which one is it? Which one was it? Until it dropped. And
yeah. So it was a good way to get people on the different groups and check out the different games. Right. So the first one was the little teaser artwork of the crown, and then the second one we had, I think this one may have been on the 8th. It was the reveal of the Hellion posse, Caym's Murder of Hellion posse, that shortly after they revealed the artwork, went up for pre-order for the end of January. So I thought that was cool. I mean, this was one of those posses. I mean, this being a Wild West Exodus podcast, we were excited about it, and it was one of those ones that it's like we were waiting. I felt like I was waiting for this forever since first they took over the game,
Right.
and it's just like, okay, this was one of those original bosses. He was in first edition, and it's like, okay, when are they going to redo this type of
Right.
thing? So I was pretty excited to see that. And I know in the past, like when they've kind of re-released some of the older posses, a lot of community members are like, well, I have all those models, but that one. And this one was a little different, where the models themselves were, and we mentioned this earlier in the show, they're different sculpts. So
Yep.
even if you already have it, there's still kind of that collectability to it to have like a different version of the model. So
Right.
Well, and even
Right
then,
about
when you
that.
think about the doubles that are in there, the doubles are really Caym and Ursel, who both got really different sculpts.
yeah.
And
So
then the Apex Hellions, which you can use multiples of anyway.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and then the new face, whose name I forget already. I don't feel like you really got a lot of repeats there. It's not like Ranger Showboat, where you're like, well, I already have everything but Calamity Jane. This feels like I could get this, and I could use everything in here, and it's very different alternate sculpts.
Yeah.
For the two that actually are doubles. So I think that's really a much better way. You don't feel bad about buying it.
No, and I mean, like, I already have Caym. And I love my paint job on him. And I consider it one of my best paint jobs for the game. And with this new version of him, I don't feel so bad about getting him, because it is that little bit different, and I can try a completely different paint job on him. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. And that kind of goes.
And you're an Enlightened player, so for you that's
right.
double. It's not like oh yay, new stuff. It's new stuff that I really want.
All right. So, and then the next teaser that they had, I believe, was on the 11th of December, and we got some concept art for Mythos, and that was for, let's see if I can read my chicken scratch here, Oracle of Kempra. It was a Custos Crypta character that's going to come out. There wasn't a whole lot of information, because it was just concept art that they revealed. That it was Roberto that did the art. If any of you guys have checked out his artwork, I encourage you guys to go to Instagram and follow him, because he's always posting up pictures from his sketchbook on there, whether it's Wild West Exodus or Warcradle related to just. He's an artist. He likes to draw, so he'll randomly post pictures of just different stuff he draws. I really like his style, and the one thing I like in Wild West Exodus particularly is that his art style has transitioned into the actual model,
Right.
where it gives it that flavor and that character. So that was really neat to see something different from him. I always love seeing his art. Brian, were you excited for seeing that one? Because I know you got a little bit into Mythos.
Actually, I like Mythos. I have not bought my first box yet. The Brotherhood of Belial is the box set that I plan on getting.
Oh, I thought you got that already, actually, because I knew. Yeah,
it's on the wish list.
The wish list, okay.
I just haven't got it. Some of the money I was going to use for that, I put into the posse challenge that we're doing.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I went with.
So he's blaming me and you, Tom.
No, it's not a blame. It's just
I painted tonight.
Right. It's when you're doing something like this that it can divert your hobby funds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I didn't put it on my Christmas list just because there were other things that I was encouraged to also jump into. So,
Well, maybe
my
birthday,
wife,
right? Birthday,
what's that?
Father's Day. Birthday or Father's Day.
Right, or just cause, just
Yeah.
have to do it a little bit away from Christmas now.
Right.
That might just be a hey, happy February.
All right,
No,
so
it'll be a Valentine's gift
there
to
you go.
myself.
There you go.
Oh, you get a little self-love there. Nice.
So then the next one that they revealed was, let's see, I think the 14th. We have the Cerulean Clade. So we're seeing those mimics. And the neat thing about that artwork is that in the artwork, you can see a new model in the back. Actually, two new models. But the one that I'm particularly thinking of is the one that's in the background that looks like from the movie The Thing. You guys remember that movie where it had multiple faces and arms? So it's just like some weird creature. So that looks kind of neat to see
And then,
them
of course,
getting
then it was Aliens guy from the History Channel.
from the History That's awesome that they did that. I think that just that one model right there kind of shows, as a studio, their humor. They got that little bit of humor that
Come on, they put the my rent is too damn high as the leader of the Ghostbusters posse. I mean, come on. That was when I saw that model, I'm like, dude, are they really trolling New York politics by putting that guy in? My rent is too damn high.
So I think that'll be a neat for all the Watcher players out there. I think the Watchers very similar to the Order.
They need love.
They need some love. So it's nice to see them getting some more. And those, so a lot of those, the older models that are in that box set, they've been around for a while. So it's nice to see them, very similar to Caym, kind of getting that, that retreatment and, finally coming out for a player. So here's hoping for a big scarab, right?
Yeah. My God. Those things are like cast in gold at this point.
I know.
Well, now that we have plastics in house,
It's looking forward to that one.
Now,
All right. So on the 16th, they unveiled Dystopian Wars Blazing Sun teaser artwork. And I know a lot of the community members were really excited for this. This was one of their, from the previous editions of Dystopian Wars, one of their favorite factions that just flavor-wise was a standout from all the different ships in the game. So that was kind of cool to see. We could see Nakano's home country getting some love. So we can have a connection there. So I know originally that was one of the I think before Warcradle got it, and I was looking at Dystopian Wars years ago. That was one of the ones that stood out to me because the ships did look so different.
Right.
Then we got on the 18th. Now I'm unsure about this one. I was questioning this one, but I think the 18th was basically when they released the pre-order for the Murder of the Hellion Posse, and we kind of touched on this, I think, a little bit. The Dystopian Wars Hunt for Prometheus 2-player starter. I think that's when they announced that was their little advent reveal. Was the because it was just a couple days ago they revealed the Murder of Hellion, and then out of the blue, it's like this one gets revealed, and oh, by the way, you can pre-order it too for the end of January. So I think the groups were blowing up that day because people were like, oh my God, we can get them right away. And I remember people sharing pictures from the trade pages and stuff because the stores could get that stuff already. And I actually have not pre-ordered mine yet because, like I've been told by other friends in the hobby, that I am an oak. I have patience and I can wait a little bit. I have enough models to work on, so I'll get it eventually.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, there we go. Maybe I'll use that one too.
Wow.
See how we play? That's how we do it. And then on the 22nd,
It's not like you're gonna.
had
It's
art.
not like Mary's gonna get you flowers.
No, she got me paint for Christmas, for God's sake. So,
So yeah, did she get you some hellions for Valentine's
I
Day?
think so. Yeah, here's
Nice.
some demons that fly. The 22nd, we got some more teaser art from Roberto. It was art for Firestorm, and I am actually not sure how you say this, but it was for one of the alien factions in that game. Boy, I'm gonna kill this word here. Rathosa Unity. I'm probably totally butchering that name. But if you guys want to see how it's probably really said, if you go to the Firestorm Facebook page and scroll back towards the 22nd, you'll see the little teaser art that Roberto did. And then last but not least, we had a reveal on Christmas. And that was for Dystopian Wars Latin Alliance, which I know is a classic favorite from the older editions of the game. So a lot of people are kind of excited about that also. And all these, like a lot of the artwork that they revealed for Dystopian Wars was basically artwork that you would see on their fleet boxes. So it was kind of neat to see something like that. That's like, oh, that's what it's going to look like in the box. So we got a little sneak peek of what it's going to look like when it's in the stores.
Right.
But
In addition to those sneak peeks, they then upped the Dystopian War website, and on it there's wallpaper for all of the fleet's boxes they know they'll be releasing sometime in the year.
yeah, that's
So
right.
you can actually go through and start looking. Basically, the clamor was, hey, we need to know what these guys look like so we can start deciding what factions we want to hold out for.
Mhm.
So they did. They put literally at least one battle fleet picture for all eight of the factions on their resource page. So you
That's
can go
pretty
take a
cool.
look.
Yeah.
And some of the factions have two different battle fleets you can peek at.
Mhm.
So there's actually two for the Celestial Empire. So you
Okay.
can actually go look at the
The differences between
different.
them.
They're completely different ships. The
That's
designs are
cool.
completely different. So and that's pretty cool. You get to go peek and so this is what the
Yeah.
Union fleet's going to look like.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that it was pretty neat. Some of the other things they teased us with is they had a marketing during December where uh, they contacted some of the community members who have access to you know uh, you know blogs, video logs, YouTube channels,
Oh yeah, that's
Facebook
right.
community kind of members, and asked them, hey, if we send you a sprue of coming soon in the new Dystopian Wars, will you share what you do with it?
Mhm.
So I was reached out because I'm on the Blackhoof Saloon, and they were like, "Hey, if I send you one, would you brag about it?"
And you
Like,
made not one, but you made two videos of it, of an unboxing
I did,
and a build.
and a build, and then I put my pictures all out.
Yep. And
And
you guys, if you guys want to see that, we did put it up, and it's on the Facebook, and then
yeah,
I
Eric,
actually,
you pushed it out on the Twitter and
I,
and Instagram.
yep, and I grabbed your video that you posted up and put it on YouTube too, so you
Yeah,
guys could see all that. We kind of spammed it everywhere, didn't we?
yeah. No, I was like excited. I mean, it's a pretty neat sprue, and the plastics remind me of the quality that we had in the first wave hands.
Mhm.
I mean, it's really done really well. Uh, so, mind you, my yeah, let me order this box had a lot to do with me building this sprue.
Well, and
Right.
yeah, and that's I think
You
that was
know,
a
it
like
is
you
an
said.
amazing. It was amazing sprue. I had a lot of fun building it. I had fun painting them. Um, and I do have a friend who he's in the he was a Navy, uh, you know, I
Sailor.
can't remember his rank, but he was in the Navy, retired Navy.
Mhm.
So I know he would enjoy this game.
Yeah.
You know, so
Right.
I had no problem saying, yeah, $120. Let's go ahead and do it.
So you
I was
already
actually able to convince my old local store that used to have Wild West Exodus in stock. He had stopped his trade agreement with Warcradle, but he contacted Brandon for me and said, "Hey, Brandon, I want to order this, uh, pre-order this box. Can y'all send it to Powell or send it to me early so he can have it sooner?" And Brandon, of course, said, "Yeah, that's what we've been trying to do that. So yeah,
Mhm.
we'll do that." But that and the new changes they did in the trade store made
Mhm.
my old store like, whoa, hey, dude, that the trade store improvements and Brandon, I think we're going to start events again.
Yeah.
Like,
That's cool.
I'm ready. I was like,
Yeah.
so it's like the improvements in the trade and what Brandon has been able to do, I think is actually going to help kickstart not only Dystopian Wars, but maybe Wild West Exodus back up
Yeah.
in the stores.
Yeah.
So I'm like all excited. So
Yeah, it's definitely something to look forward to this new year, to see how things go with the stores and getting, just starting to get some plastic out there for everybody to get excited about. And they really went about the right way, marketing wise, like you were saying, how to get people excited about seeing these teasers or revealing these two pre-orders of.
I don't know. We had like what 6 or 7 videos, all on the sprue.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
to see what everyone was doing with the sprues, a little different. We
Hmm.
had a dozen picks of people, and then we have
I
some of the community members they picked are old Dystopian Wars players,
Yeah,
so they
yeah.
were like, "Oh, here I can compare them with my my previous versions, my Spartan versions,"
I
and
hope
then that was really cool
I
to
hope they
see.
do that with Lost World too.
Well, I don't know, dude. Have you seen
Send me
some of
some
those?
dinosaurs. Well, not technically dinosaurs.
Well, they didn't have any of that in the old Legion, dystopian legions, but
I want to see some mutant bugs, and I can't remember
yeah.
what
So that's one
Stewart
of the things
exactly called
with
them, but
plastics in the Warcradle now. Uh, it opens up so much stuff that
yeah,
would
yeah.
have been more expensive for them to do because they'd have to go, the contracting outside.
Hmm.
Uh, but this, I, I think, is a positive. I think plastics in house they can play more.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And I think it's an encouraging move
Well,
to
they
see.
even commented that bringing it in house may make assembly of the models a little less complicated than they are right now, which has been a little bit of uh, a sore spot from some people. They're like, man, did you really have to cut that up into 27 different pieces to articulate this out? They're not even posable. And I know Seward had weighed in on that and said, yeah, that's part of contracting them out and then having to figure out how to design the screws and everything with them in
Well, you have to
house.
remember that
They can plan it better in house now, how to cut
all of that
models
stuff
up.
was handled at work at Outlaw,
Yep.
and the reason the Enlightened sprues are so many pieces is because of the people in Outlaw were like, no, we don't want to lose the details of these zombies. because it will sell this faction. And I know there's people out there like, wow, it was so hard to do. I don't care. Those are some of the best hands in this game
Right.
because of the choices they made. And yes, 12 pieces is a little extreme, but it's detailed as blank.
Well,
I mean, and there's no, yeah, okay, well, I would like mine less detailed and just be 5 pieces. Well, sorry, they weren't built for you, you know. They
no,
those pieces weren't designed for someone who wanted less details. They just weren't. They were designed to have as much detail in all of the nuances of what those zombies are, right? It's like, hey, look, these are constructs. They have exoskeleton made out of, rough iron, and they have the dynamite, strapped to their chests. They have these weird little spikes sticking out of the back of their heads. I mean, all those details are why there's so many pieces, and they're amazing.
And I think we've seen that in a lot of things. I found that putting the Spica together, like, not that they were 12 pieces, but they were all pretty much like 8 pieces or so to put together. And it's because, the little tabards hanging off the front and the little backpacks you're putting on them and stuff like that. There's just a lot of pieces to them. That's all. But now you have all that detail.
Right. And that's why I enjoyed those decisions the way they were made. But then even like Warcradle, their list of plastics they farmed out is a very small list, but it includes, the leader of the Nautilus. Right. We got her legendary version. It was it was in plastic. It was amazing. I mean, amazingly detailed figure in plastic.
I still haven't put mine together. when did I get that? 4 years
ago? Yeah.
Well,
Staz gave you didn't even get a box.
No, I just got a baggie. It was like a drug deal going down. They gave me a little baggie with plastic crack in it.
I know, and he just had him in his backpack.
that didn't seem shady at all.
Oh,
it's like, hey, you want some plastic?
Yeah.
All right. Well, should we wrap it up today, you guys? And if you guys want to go check out those teasers, go ahead and go to Warcradle Studios Facebook page. I do believe they have a post there. It was either on Christmas. I think it was actually just after Christmas that kind of gave you links to where all these places are at, or actually just go to all the different Facebook pages if you guys don't mind scrolling, through the last month on all the pages to find them. That's kind of the hard way to do it, but it'll work. And yeah, if you haven't done it, pre-order the Murder of Hellion Posses out there for end of January release, as well as the 2-player starter for Dystopian Wars. But we're going to go ahead and get out of here for this episode. As always, if you guys want to check out our Facebook page, Blackhoof WWX Podcast, please like and subscribe. It lets us know you're out there and you can kind of see what we're working on. The videos that we mentioned that Brian did for the Dystopian War sprue and the multiple of pictures that he took, because he was, painting them too, I think within the same week. You guys can check that out there. If you have any questions or comments or ideas for us, you can email us at blackhoofsaloon@gmail.com. And you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter, where you can find us at Blackhoof Saloon, and Instagram, Blackhoof Saloon Podcast. And you can see a bunch of different posts that we're posting on projects like our posse build bonanzas that we did on their live shows not that long ago. And hopefully we can get back to some of those live hobby project nights. These guys were working on some tonight just a little bit, and I started mine a little bit too, but it'd be nice to have some community participation with those live streams. That was a lot of fun. And lastly,
Benji's joining us for this.
Yeah, there's a couple people in the community member that are actually kind of building out some posses with us. So it'd be fun to have them work on it with us. But you can check out those live streams that we did. I actually put them up on our YouTube channel. So if you guys want to see those videos or other ones that we've done, like unboxings, I think there's some table type setup examples and run throughs, and we have all our podcasts up there also. And since we're starting to do more of the like video streaming or the way we record now, because we changed the way we record from Skype to Zoom, we're getting pretty good video. So when I put the episodes out for YouTube in a video format, it's a little nicer to look at us here talking to each other for the podcast. But that is it for today. This is Eric saying, take it easy. And when you're out there, remember to ride with the sun at your back and always roll those big crits. Say goodbye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Take it easy, guys. See y'all later. And yeah!
Thanks for stopping by the Blackhoof Saloon, y'all. We hope you enjoyed your visit. Feel free to get a hold of us with comments or questions via the interwebs and shoot us a telegraph at blackhoofsaloon@gmail.com. You can also find us on the Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Music for the podcast was provided for use by Ross Bugden and can be found at one of his YouTube channels, Ross Bugden Music or Ross Bugden Composer. Until your next visit, ride with the sun at your back and always roll those big crits.
So I wrote out all our smoke wagons that we did. You guys want to hear them? We've done 9. We've done 9 so far. So we started at episode 15 with Wyatt and Jesse James. Wyatt won that one. And then Elite Nura and the Third Man. Third Man won that one. And then we have Kyle the Black versus the King of the Mustaches, Custer.
Now, I believe Custer won just on the power of his facial hair, right?
Hey, dude, the percentage on that one was him 74% to 26.
It's all because of the facial hair.
Yeah. That's the power of the mustache, man.
I don't believe he's actually that much better.
Just imagine if he had some mirrored, sunglasses on.
Oh, yeah.
They have. I know. I saw he had a couple of boxes of those.
Okay, those I think are out of stock in a lot of places. They're the infiltrator droids, I think they're called.
Yeah. I think that's it.
You guys need to stop talking about this, or you're going to suck me in.
They have swords, right? Those guys.
Or is it staffs?
Get sucked in. We can do it every other month. One month we'll do Exodus. Next month we'll do Legion.
I mean, I'm surprised I didn't get sucked in as much as I love Star Wars, but I think X-Wing burned me out, man, that I'm like, I don't want to do any more Star Wars games. That because I was doing that with the card game at the same time.
But it's been a long time since you played, right?
It has.
So it's time to get back on the horse.
I don't know if I can do it, man.
See, the difficult part is you have to decide which four factions.
Well, I know which faction I would go with. Always go with the good one.
The Empire?
That's right. Right through might.
Well, hey, let's be fair. They were the good guys, and a bunch of terrorists attacked them.
Mm-hmm. Blew up their home.
So blowing up.
Have y'all watched The Mandalorian?
All those union workers out of work now.
Look, all I'm saying is blowing up Alderaan was kind of like bombing Libya.
Oh, man. All right. We should probably start.
Oh, wait, we're not just going to talk Star Wars tonight?
We're chit-chatting. We're
We'll
not
put
starting
out-
a Star Wars podcast.
We'll put out a very,
y'all bring it up, and we can get stuck on it for hours.
it'll be
Jedi
like a very special episode of the Blackhoof Saloon dedicated to our favorite Star Wars.
Well, it basically is a Western, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah.
And then instead of our opening theme song, you're like, bam, ba, ba, bam, ba, 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 bam. Wait, am I going to have to pull up these cards and participate?
I'm going to pull them up when they're stream and share them. So you can just look on the screen if you want.
I'm painting. I'm painting. Don't you understand what that means? I can't multitask. I can barely monotask. Is that a thing? Is monotask a thing?
Monotask. Yeah, it could be, I guess.
Look at that. Throw a little metallic on there. Looks great.
I figure we can start with Caym. With Caym.
He came. He saw.
He kicks some ass.
Well, we'll see about that. We haven't gotten that far yet.
Well, I've used him enough, but just as a support boss. So I think that's kind of all he is.
Oh, no. That's very sad.
Vehicles and stuff are something that's a bigger need in Lost World Exodus.
Mhm.
So as that starts trickling out, we'll start seeing the vehicles, because
Right.
I think that was their excuse to make sure they get those vehicles right, is
Right.
because the Union in Lost World Exodus is going to need those bikes, right? All the other factions, the cavalry in Lost World Exodus is a much more required thing, because it's a more military-esque game.
Mhm.
When Lawless Exodus really is more of a, running around skirmish. So I'm okay with that. I mean, some of us have the vehicles, but in small numbers, right?
Right.
Except for, the custard mounted posse I'm building. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Thank you, Tom.
Some of us have them in small numbers, and some of us don't.
But you see what I'm saying? I mean, so obviously, as the new Iron Horses get finished, that's something that's going to happen literally while Lost World Exodus is coming out.